Hey guys, Kai from Kaiser Takeon here, back with another video, and it's more to do about the Kamen Rider ZO or GO series that happened for a full year now, and it was a kind of interesting series. Don't get me wrong, this was GO was the first Kamen Rider series that I watched weekly again for a while since Kamen, and it was very interesting take on the franchise's anniversary or ending as a whole. It was an interesting take. The last episode was a bit interesting, but I mean, there's a lot of things I liked about the finale, but there's also a lot of things I didn't like about the finale, and there was a lot of things I didn't like about the series in general. One of my main things I didn't like was how it was treating the past riders more, say, where we had some closure to some past seasons, like Agito in a way, and Blade, and Ryuki for that matter, but it just seems like they didn't really know what they wanted to do with the concept of past riders. At least with Decade, they managed to give Decade the powers to change into past riders. And it was a fun little indication to include Decade into this series because he was the anniversary rider for the first 10 riders. No, first 9 riders. So that would have been Kuga, Agito, Ryuki, Faiz, Hibiki, Kabuto, Deno, and Kiva. So the first 8 riders, and Decade himself. Whereas Gio was all of them, from Kuga to Build. I haven't seen Build or X-Aid or Drive. Seen some of Ghost, but never really finished Ghost because I lost track of it. Because Ghost was the rider that I've constantly watched because I didn't like the concept of Drive much. But I am looking into going back into watching Drive. But going back onto the topic of the Geo, the concept there, because we had like the Build retrospective episode of the 2 main Build riders showing up, and then they get their history wiped out, and then the inclusion where all the riders are on their own worlds, in a way makes sense, but at the same time somewhat doesn't make sense, because during the time periods from Double to Wizard, they were all in their all sharing the universe again, similar to how the Showa riders used to share a universe. It's like how Decay created a new world where all the riders were on the same Earth, and they pretty much protected a city, a different city for them. But then Geo incorporated that the riders are on different Earths and everything. But I think that's mainly because of one of the main writers or directors of Kamen Rider before it always liked that notion that it was its own Earth. What is great, what was interesting, but the fact that it was already established that Double, O's, Forze, and Wizard, mainly those 4, I think, mainly shared a world, and then they started going back off into their own little dimensions. But I think Ghost as well, because up till Ghost, we always see a glimpse of the next rider, like near the end of the credits, or during the ending of the final episode, and we saw it with Drive as well. But with Zio, we didn't see any appearance of 01, because 01 is the start of the Reiwa era, so it's starting the new era. So Zio ended the Heisei era. So now we're going into the new Reiwa era of Kamen Rider. What is interesting and take in itself. But there is a lot of things interested in Zero that I liked but didn't like at the same time. But it was an interesting concept of time and ride watches and everything. I like the concept. I wish they established it more or figured out a better way to um, use that gimmick in a way better in the series. I did like the characters a lot. I loved Woz, I loved Sogo, and I loved Gates, and I loved Tsukiyomi. But I did like the ending. But some of the confusions that I had was pretty much that Sogo got all the ride watches again because his uncle fixed them. He ends up getting Gran Gio's watch again, even though he hasn't got all of the watches again, because obviously Decay took his ride watch back to take half of his power back so he could become Decayed again, whereas the rest of Decade's power is in the another Decayed ride watch, and yet Sergo has the Gran Gio ride watch. Then he becomes Omazeo because of the death of Gates. What was an interesting thing, but I was like, yeah, he becomes Omazeo, but it could have at least gave him the ability of being a non-Demon King, or incorporate the overtime quartz movies form in here, because we always get the movie exclusive forms at some point in the series, but it wasn't the case this time. We got the double ride watch abilities. We got the double armor, ride armor, but we didn't really get Gio's Oma form that he gained in the movie. Because that would have been an interesting concept, that instead of becoming the main Oma Gio, he becomes that one instead, and he gets the ride watch for it instead, and he gets all the powers of Oma Gio that way, and that would have been interesting. And then he could have stayed on the path of becoming king in the way and create a new world like that. But then that's not how it was meant to be, and everything. There's one thing I did like is how he. The one thing I didn't like is how he completely reset time and space for the series. So it starts back up at September of 2018, right back to how the first episode started. But this time there was no Woz showing up to give Sogo the belt or the watch. Gates and Tsukiyomi are part of that world now, and they live there, and they are best friends and classmates with Sogo. Same with Ua and Aura, all now in the same school, with those two being underclassmen, like second years, while Gates and Tsukiyomi are in third years, and Gates is in the martial arts club as well. But that's an interesting concept, like how they ended it, and it was just an interesting concept to the point. But it was an okay finale. I think the way they handled it was good, but it was kind of confusing at the same time, where there was a little bit of a mess up, a little bit mishaps here and there. But it was slightly okay at best, and it's just that. It was okay at best. It wasn't great. The whole series was a big mess in the whole. I did enjoy it for the fun, did enjoy it for the the majority of the past rider returns. Not as much as I enjoyed the Gokaiger returns of the most of the Sentai actors returning from Gokaiger, but I did enjoy the majority of them that came back anyway. But other than that, Gio was really a letdown, definitely for me, being the first rider series I've watched from start to finish again in a long while, and it just felt really flat and disappointing. I enjoyed the majority of the episodes, like I mentioned, and it just really doesn't really seem anything has really changed my opinion that much, and that's just a real shame. I would have loved this series a lot more if it was like that, but it wasn't. It just seems to carry on and change stuff, establish stuff, create lore, retcon that lore and stuff like that, mainly with how the ride watches work. It erased history, but it doesn't erase history, depending on when another rider was made. That's how the race history works, because if the another riders were made in the exact year and time period of when that rider showed up originally, then they vanish. But then you got the another riders that get made within 2019 or 2018 that literally didn't really make sense. And definitely the Mirai riders as well, for Kikai, Quiz, and Shinobi. Those were interesting concepts of riders. I think Toei had an idea that, these aren't really rider concepts that we are going to do as a full series at any stage. So we're just gonna throw them out there as suits and remodify the Ziku driver to just be able to function as a multi-purpose driver, so these guys can use it and whatnot. But that's pretty much it. And I like those concepts. The only one that I didn't like was Ginga. Kamen Rider Ginga. Where the hell he just came out of the blue during the Kiva arc and didn't really do anything. He was like a big bang, but then he just showed up and vanished and got the watch. That's pretty much it. It's just that. Overall, I did enjoy Geo as much as I could. Like I said, there was stuff that I didn't like. There's stuff I wish could have been better. But at the same time, I did enjoy Geo as I wanted to. Because I enjoyed Decade, because Decade was my first Rider series I ever watched. And it was Decade that got me wanting to watch the other series and learn of the main timeline of those shows. Geo has done somewhat the same. I want to check out the rest of Ghost, or rewatch Ghost from the beginning, Drive and X8 and Builds, so that I can watch the rest of the Neo Heisei or the Heisei Phase 2 riders and complete those, and then go back to finish the rest of the other Heisei riders that I still need to watch. But that is pretty much it, and that's all I can think of about Geo. Is that it was an okay series. It wasn't great, it wasn't grand, it wasn't, oh my god, this is the best series ever type of deal. It just was okay at best, and that's really it. So otherwise, I've been your host, Kai from Kaizo Tega Corner, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now. See ya. Hey guys, I just want to remind you that I do have a Facebook page and a Twitter account. On my Facebook page, I do add sometimes exclusive content or interact with the fans or posts and stuff like that to interact with the fans a little bit, and with Twitter as well. Majority of the time on Twitter, so I'll try and talk with you guys as much as possible on Twitter and everything. You can find both the links down in the video description down below, or you can find them via the URL at the top here as well. But that's pretty much it. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video of my final thoughts on Kamen Rider Geo. I'm thinking about doing more of these, like after I watched all of Geo or whatever Rider series is on, and on the final episode I will do a retrospective on my thoughts of the series and what I thought about it in as a whole, and that's and everything like that. But also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and keep up to date with all my videos by also pressing the bell. I've been your host, Kai from Kaizo Tega Corner, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. See ya.